What's the backstory with Carlos Hardy? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I am Carlos Hardy. Thank you so much for, clicking the link. I truly appreciate it. Please subscribe, like the video, share it if you will, if you're inspired. Everything's about inspiration. I've been helping you to write your book, that story that you have deep inside your heart, deep inside the pit of your stomach. There's a story, and I know you want to get it out. So I've been doing my best to help you get it there, because every person has a backstory somewhere deep inside them, and I'm hoping this video will help you to get it out. Before we get to our subject today, let's talk about what's going to be in the writer's room today. Do you guys remember Living Single? Yeah. Living Single is a show that was on Fox, and it ran for about 5.5 seasons, and in the 90s, the middle to late 90s, and it had a great group of characters that I love. Like the way those characters were written was extraordinary. I just appreciated the different facets of the characters. One was a lawyer, another one was a business owner, one was a stockbroker, another one was a handyman. It was just an amazing story that I wrote something. I wrote a little bit of a backstory, as you will, in our writer's room today, and you guys will really appreciate that. I'll just leave it there until we get to the writer's room. But let's talk about our subject today, okay? Now remember, you have a book, you have a script, you have some poetry, you have a character you want to bring up, you have a film, whatever it is. You're a vlogger, you may even be a blogger, whatever. You need to be able to write about yourself, or write about a person, or things like that. So I'm here to help you. Today's subject: character development. Now, some of you are wondering, what is character development? What is that? What does that even mean, to develop a character? Character development is when you can identify with a character so much that you know their ins and outs. You know exactly what they'll do before they'll do it, and also you know deep down their trials and their tribulations, what they've gone to, what has brought them to that point. Also, you tend to think of a character in anything that you're writing as a part of your family. It's like if your mom or your dad, you know exactly who they are. Before you can even ask them a question, you know exactly their response and what they'll say to you. So that's all about character development. So there's 3 specific things when you're writing your book that you need to know about character development. So let's say this person is called, let's call this, for lack of a name, let's call this person Tammy. Okay, I have a character in my new book. Her name is Tammy. Or in your book, you have a character named Tammy. Okay, and you need to develop this character so that your audience can grab hold of this character and be able to respond accordingly. Be able to appreciate that character. Be able to understand that character. So that character is very colorful and well-rounded. That's what you want in any type of character you're writing, whether it's fiction or non-fiction. You want the audience to either relate to them, you want them to hate them, you want them to love them, you want them to be indifferent. That's all about character development. You're developing that character so that they can elicit some type of emotion from the reader, or from the person who is partaking in that literature. Okay, so the first step in a character development is backstory. Remember, what's the backstory? Each character must have a backstory. And sometimes when you're reading, the backstory may come into a book 2 or book 3 if you're doing a trilogy, or if you're doing a film, doing film writing, it may come in, the 4th or the 5th, movie. A backstory is something that you don't know about a character, and it helps to come to light, whatever that situation is, and then it compounds to help to create that character in existence today, in the present day, okay? So once you know what the character's backstory is, it makes it easier for you to understand understand that character. For example, Tammy may be a bank robber, okay? But when I write Tammy, Tammy was raped. Tammy was then became a prostitute, and Tammy began to rob banks. So the backstory of Tammy lets you know what brought Tammy to robbing banks. That's the whole point of a backstory. You want to give a backstory because it helps to bring out that character. It helps that character help you to understand who that character is. And as a writer, and as a reader, you want to be able to identify with that character. And what better way to identify with that character when you know its lineage, you know where that character has come from. Every character don't need a backstory. Like the guy that's working at the gas station or the store, if he's not pivotal to your book or to your writing, he doesn't have to have a backstory. Unless you bring him further down the road, he can have a backstory. And sometimes it's even, I know in my book, sometimes I don't give characters backstories. My main characters have backstories, but my my second characters, or what I call B characters, I don't give them backstories unless I plan to use them again in another book. And then I may introduce their backstory in a second or third book. It just makes it makes more of an intriguing story when you introduce that backstory, because it lets the audience in on something that they didn't know about that character. Number 2, in developing your characters, they must have a motivation. Okay, so whenever you're writing any type of character in your books, in your literature, or whatever you're doing, however you're deciding to use this, they must have a motivation. Remember, I did the Set It Off, and like I said, that's one of my favorite movies. And there was a character by the name of TT, and she was a soft-spoken yet emotional character. And she was conflicting within herself because they was going to take her baby away. So in order for her to rob, so when she went to rob the bank, the motivation for her was her son, okay? The motivation for her to get the money and move away with her son was the whole point of her robbing the bank. That's why she robbed the bank. She didn't just rob the bank to rob the bank, because if you have a character that's just doing something just to do stuff, it don't make sense. It's not going to add up. And you want to make sure in creating development for your characters that they have a motivation. They got to have something that they can grapple or grab onto that propels them forward in doing whatever it is they're doing, whether they're robbing a bank, whether they're committing crimes, whatever they're doing, if they're starting a new company. There has to be something that pushes that character forward. Okay? Number 3, in those characters that you're developing, you have to have some type of result for that character. That character has to be going somewhere, okay? There has to be something that they're looking to do, okay? So if they're not looking to do something, if your characters are just stagnant and are just a part of, the scenery, most people aren't going to fall in love with your characters or have your characters be relatable to them. So you want to make sure when you're writing, anytime you're writing a specific character, that they have to have some type of result at the end, whether it's revenge, whether it's they're a vigilante, whether they want to get over on the government, because that's how your story develops, and that's how you push your story. That's how you push your story. That's how the boundaries of your stories continue to push when your characters that you create have some type of result. But those are the 3 tools that I use whenever I develop character. I make sure they have a backstory. I make sure that they have some type of motivation, and I make sure that they're seeking this result based on their motivation. That right there, I'm telling you, when you compound those 3 things, you begin to realize, oh wow, okay, this is a great character, and your audience will fall in love with those characters, and they will appreciate the fact that you took the time out as a writer to create this colorful character. There are so many characters in books and TV and film and all over that you identify with, and that you utterly love. For example, the character on Miranda, who was on The Devil's Wear Prada, she's very specific. That character was so developed, so developed. Certain things you can use to help to develop your characters are language. Your characters can speak a certain language, okay, a certain slang, which differentiates them from the other characters. Clothing can help to differentiate that character and help to develop that character. Attitude can help their adversity that they've gone through. You can give them adversity. These are all different tools that you can use to develop your characters. And just make sure that each character can stand on its own. Because sometimes characters bleed into each other with their voices, and you don't want that. You want the character so developed that it doesn't sound like, Tammy doesn't sound like Jim, and Jim doesn't sound like Mary. They all sound individually their own person. That's very, very important. So let's go into the writer's room. I've written something about Living Single, that TV show that aired, like I say, in the 90s. Amazing show, incredible cast, great producers and executives who created this just extraordinary show. If you get a chance, check it out on DVD. It's a really, really, really well written show. So let's go and check it out, and trust me, you're probably gonna identify with it if you've seen the show. If not, watch it. What do you want me to do about it? Here we go. Let's go. It's late afternoon on a manic Friday. A mob of pushy people parades back and forth in a narrow corridor in a courthouse in Jersey City. A pair of chestnut-colored designer shoes glides up the crowded hall, zigzagging in and out of the boisterous horde of unruly deviants. The shoes stride up the compacted corridor, strutting confidently while taking no prisoners in the process. The man's chiseled jawbone tips upward, a clear indication he's a bit of a prude and doesn't condone the influx of traffic in the court halls. After plowing through the heaps of people, the man glances up ahead. Locking eyes with a woman he's had a vigorous court battle with all morning. His exhale is muted by the noisy cluster of defendants and plaintiffs walking to and fro. He takes a few strained steps. "Kyle, you are doing it for your daughter," he says, hoping to quiet the raging whisper in the pit of his stomach. Calmly, he places his briefcase on the floor, wiping away crumbs from the chair with a sanitized napkin. He finally sits. "What's the matter, Kyle? You're not man enough for Corona?" A voice barks from across the hall. It's Maxine Shaw. Her beauty remains unmatched. Deep chocolate skin glistening under the hideous fluorescent lights. A sophisticated French braid swoops stunningly from the front of her crown to the back. The sheen on her lengthy legs are distracting, prompting the usual response from Kyle. "How long did you have to buff those things before coming to court today?" Maxine leaps to her feet. "You know what, Kyle? Nope, I won't do it." She's been working on her anger issues. Brushing her eyes closed, she tries to wish away the offhanded comment, but fails miserably. "Look here, J. Cole, pay your child support," she demands, slamming her heel into the floor. Kyle's eyes flutter with annoyance. "Are we really going to do this here?" Maxine takes her cue gleefully. "You damn right we are," her voice crescendos off the walls. After a fierce battle in the courtroom, Kyle takes matters in his own hands. He grips Maxine's arm, forcing her into a quiet corner of the hall, penetrating her core with his deliberate whisper. "Maxine, it's over this time." His fingers loosens from her arm, seemingly releasing her forever. The impassioned lust that she has had over him is slowly slipping away, and she knows it. "It's been over, Kyle," she says, hoping to one-up him. The sorrow in Kyle's voice settles, like Superman tossing his kryptonite aside. Kyle finds his strength to finally walk away. "We share custody, Max. That's always been the plan." Her arms flail with purpose, hoping to make a scene. "Your plan, not mine. She comes with me, Kyle." Maxine clamps both hands to her hip. Her playful demeanor morphs into a more serious one. The skillful and manipulative lawyer that she is emerges, pretending like he's the plaintiff in her courtroom. She rages forward. "Furthermore, Kyle Barker Shaw, this was your doing, not mine." Kyle balls his fist into knots, deeply probing for the perfect comeback. "Come off of it, Max. We'll never get him back." Max turns on her heels. She knows it wouldn't be long before Kyle reminded her of her deepest pain. The faster you face the fact that it wasn't your fault, the quicker you'll get over it, Max. She turns back, fury guiding her into hatred. I've been over it, Kyle. I don't know why I married you. A few feet away, the couple's friend, Khadijah James, wedges between the two bickering adults. Ebony, the couple's teenage daughter, accompanies Khadijah. Khadijah cups Ebony's ears, saving her from the onslaught of vulgarities thrown back and forth. So, is it final, Max and Kyle? Max ignores her, shifting to another subject. Khadijah, where's the little leprechaun? Regina is where she usually is. Yoga for divorcees, Khadijah says with a chuckle in her throat. Maxine flings her coat onto her back. I guess I'll be joining her soon. Come on, Khadijah. Ebony, we're out of here. Kyle folds his arm across his chest in protest. Let Ebony decide where she wants to go, Kyle says cavalierly. The 11-year-old girl has a look of hurt in her eyes. She's in a never-ending maze to nowhere. No matter where she looks, there's no way out. Her shoulders sag. Disappointing one of her parents has become inevitable. Although she's a splitting image of Maxine, she chooses to side with her father. Ebony takes Kyle's hand. The father-daughter exit through a pair of doors peacefully. Maxine's eyes swell with tears. She shrugs it off with a grin, but it fails at masking her pain. Khadijah, my daughter hates me. She really hates me. It's okay, Max. It's okay. Okay, I'm back. That was Living Single, something I wrote for that sitcom of the 90s. It was really cool. Max was probably my favorite character on that show. Maxine Shaw. I'm a maverick, and I mean it. She was hilarious. I really, if I had an opportunity to write for her, the character the woman that played her, Erica Alexander, she's extraordinary. She's amazing. That's the main reason why I decided to write something for that show. I hope you liked it. It was, like I say, I'm going to be doing all types of shows and some movies, a lot of different situations and scenarios that I'll be doing. But I'm going to always be writing because I love it. And I hope you are receiving something from me. Like I mentioned before, anytime you're watching a video, one of my videos, I'm just hoping to give you something. I'm hoping you're coming away with something, whether it's, intellectual or fun or spiritual, just something that can, feed you and can help you to develop into the person you want to be, or develop into a great writer. It's all about you, right? And remember, I always say this, and I'm gonna continue to say this, you can always use the tools that I'm helping you with or teaching you in script writing and songwriting and starting a new business and all facets of life. It's not just for writing books. It just so happens that I love to write books, and that's what I'm doing. So hopefully it can help you some kind of way. Okay. I have some really good stories coming up, and some are going to be a little emotional, some will be suspenseful, some will be downright crazy, but I'm sure you will appreciate it. Remember, give me a comment. Just comment about what you saw in our writer's room. Tell me if you liked it. Tell me what do you think Max and Kyle are doing at this day and age with their lives. Would it be that, or would it be something else? Remember, I'm just writing backstories to these different situations and hoping that it inspires you some kind of way. Okay? And remember, we all have dreams. Every last one of us. Don't be a dream killer, because if you don't know one, that means you are one. Trust me on that one. Okay? Until next time, I'm Carlos Hardy, and I'll catch you in the writer's room. What's the backstory?
What's the backstory with Carlos Hardy? Yeah. Don't forget to subscribe.